All right, guys, for this video, we're going to kind of build off of the last video, and we're going to be given points, and we're going to graph them on the polar coordinate system. Now, you can see what I have here really is just a review of everything that was on the last video. So now, instead of plotting points and saying that they're X and Y, with the polar coordinate system, to give us the location, we're going to replace them with this R and theta. All right, R is the distance from the origin. Theta basically gives you the location, right? The angle between the terminal side and the origin. And then we're also going to talk about here, if R is positive, then theta is just going to remain theta, all right? You actually can make R negative. If you make it negative, it's kind of like pulling a 180. Now that point's going to be on the opposite side of the circle. So that's why we have pi plus pi, or theta plus pi, or theta plus 180. All right. Now you're going to see when we plot these, it's actually going to be pretty easy. All right. So now the one thing I will put in here, let's first just go to this. All right. So we're going to do these. We're going to do all 8 of these. Now the one thing that I will put, let's put this in a different color. We're so used to when we graph X and Y, we would always do the X first. You know, we would go left or right and then up or down. This is a little bit different. We know theta is listed second, but what we actually want to do is go to theta first when we plot these points. Let's go to location. Where is it located? So if I were to graph this point P, I'm going to go to the angle first, the pi over 3. Now the pi over 3 is 60 degrees. This is pi over 3. All right, so then this means this is where this point's going to be, anywhere at 60 degrees, right? It's the angle between this terminal side and the origin, all right? Now it's saying the radius is 2, so what that means is I shoot out 2 units from the origin, so I'm on the second circle, right? Right exactly there is where that point's going to be for point P. So let's see here, point P. It's like kind of tough to do, but this is point P. All right, so kind of cross that out. Okay, the next one, this is where we're going to have a negative radius. Now let's first go to the angle. So the angle is 3 pi over 4, which is this right here. Right, that's 135 degrees. Now, if our radius was positive, what that would mean is the point would be here. Now think of it, if I'm on, it's saying the radius is -1. Now if this radius was +1, I would be, what, like right here? So then it's saying add 180 to it. If I add 180 to it, I would get, 215, or excuse me, 315. I would just go across, right? If I'm at the circle here, just move 180 degrees, which is going all the way to here at 315. So right there would be the point Q. All right, so point Q at 315. It's kind of tough putting this in, but it's like right there is point Q. All right, so just move across the circle. Go opposite, and you're adding 180. And it doesn't matter. You can even subtract 180. You're going to end at the same point. Okay, this one, R, -45 degrees. So just like before, negative, we're going to go down. We're going to go clockwise. So -45 degrees is also 315. This is -45 degrees. Okay, but then it says the radius is 3. So what that means is, that means that this point's going to stay here. If this radius was -3, then it would flip and I would go across 180 degrees back here at the 135. All right, but since it's positive, I'm going to go to the third circle, and right there is going to be R, 3 -45 degrees, right exactly there. So this R, 15, this is it, right there, that's R. Okay, now if I did this one, see how it's almost the same as R, but now I have the radius as a negative. So I go to the location first, I'm right here. But now for S, if I make this radius negative, I go across the circle 180 degrees. So really, if I subtracted 180 from 315, I get 135. Okay. Again, you could add or subtract 180. So this 315, I really just move it across, and I'm at 135. And looks like that's what, the third circle. So that's S. That's where S is going to be. So let's put that in there. S is right at 135, 130. This is kind of difficult doing this on a video. Bear with me. All right, so that's S right there. Okay, if I did this one, all right, now 7 pi over 3, you notice that's more than one revolution. So remember, whenever we did that, if I have to know the exact location, I would subtract 2 pi from it. So if I took that 7 pi over 3 and subtracted 6 pi over 3, which is 2 pi, we get pi over 3. You see how it's really this, it's the same point. So this T is going to be the same exact point as P. So P is also going to be where T is. All right, it's the same radius, and these angles are coterminal. So we kind of get back to that. All right, if I look at U, maybe we'll do this in a different color. Let's do this in blue. If I look at U, let's go to the angle first. 7 pi over 6, this is in the third quadrant, and it's actually this. It's 710. That's 7 pi over 6. Now, since the radius is negative, it's not going to be here. It's going to flip over. So if I added 180 degrees or take away 180, might be easier to take away 180, it's going to be at 30. So at 30 degrees, it's going to be on the second circle. So it'll be right there. That's where U is going to be. All right, so let's put that in there, 30 degrees. We're at the second circle. That's going to be U. Okay, if I did this one, V, 7 pi over 4, that's in the fourth quadrant. That's this right here. That's the 315 degrees. And then it's saying it's 1, so that means that it's going to stay here. It's not going to flip over to here. And at 1, it's actually the same exact point as Q. All right, so Q and V is also the same point. So let's put also V for that. Okay, then if we look at W, 300 degrees, we're right here. Now, since this radius is negative, it's going to flip across. All right, this would be 300, but since it's negative 3, it flips across. So if we take away 180 from 300, we get what, 120? So it's going to be right over here at 120, and we're going to go at 3. So it's going to be right there. That's where W is going to be. So let's put this in blue. All right, hopefully it's not too sloppy. It's a little difficult to put these points and put them on all the circles. I see a whole bunch of lines right here. But this just goes over basics, just like we did basics way back when you probably first learned the coordinate system. You know, you do X and Y. Here you're going to do R and theta, but go to the angle first, and then if the radius is 2, go to the second circle and put a point. If the radius is negative 2, well then from that point, the angle, either add or subtract 180 from it, and then you go to the circle.